Hey everybody, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mark Weinberg from WDRB. We've got a new winter weather advisory that's just been issued for the area. Makes sense to spend some time on this one. So I thought I'd launch a live here tonight. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube if you're interested in watching the lives. And this live obviously is going to go through the concept of snow for tomorrow. How much, when it's going to fall, who would see the most, is everybody going to see this? And I think these are questions that probably a lot of people have. Now, what I would say is if you guys have interest, your family and friends probably do as well. And so it's easy to share the video. If you're on any of our Facebook channels, mine, Mark Weinberg, or on the WDRB news page, what I'd ask you to do right now is click the share button. Why click the share button? The share button is really important because the share button is going to allow this video to reach more people. And as I say quite frequently, that is the goal. So if you have, let's just say 100 people that follow you on your Facebook, right now we have 733 people that are watching. So if you now share this with your friends and family, that 700 is going to get out to 70,000 people. And I'm going to be covering Kentucky, Indiana, and our region. And I know that you probably have people in this region that are interested. And by sharing it, you're going to let them know that we're covering this. This advisory includes parts of the Louisville Metro, doesn't include Louisville right now, but I'll go through that concept. Does include parts of the Lexington Metro and also towards the Cincinnati Metro and Indianapolis. So if you have any friends in any of these areas, they're going to want to tune in and watch. So as we start this thing off, I would always ask you guys, if you do love the videos, please let me know. And you can put some likes on the screen, a couple of thumbs up and some hearts just to let me know that you guys enjoy these videos. And I'll be looking down from time to time to see what you guys are doing. The way that this is going to flow is I'm going to spend some time analyzing. We'll go through data. We'll go through my snow accumulation forecast, where I think the Weather Service is. And then at the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity for you to ask some questions. Because I know that in the end of it, the Facebook Lives and the YouTube Lives, these are really about our ability to interact directly with you. And that's really what makes these unique is I can answer your questions and you can ask your direct questions to me. And I think that's one of the great things about these live videos. So now let's get this kicked off again. If you have any friends, family that you think might be interested, please share the video. So this has kind of a hot off the presses thing. So I spoke to the Weather Service a little bit earlier today, and I just want to give them credit. Originally, their plan was to hold on this and not issue an advisory for a little bit. And I think that their logic here is let's get a little bit more confidence in exactly where before we issue the advisory. And my opinion on that one is look, we're talking under 24 hours. I think it's important where our areas where we feel a little bit more confident on, let's get the advisory out there now and let them know. That way, we're not waiting till tomorrow morning and kind of surprising people. And I think that they agreed that was probably the right way to do it. And so this advisory, I think what you're going to see here, and as we talk through this is the area where they felt the most confident on. And I think that in everything here is really smart. I think what we'll probably see is that this could get expanded. Will Louisville be in it? Right now, I think, again, based on the concept of let's get this out there where we're more confident on in the areas where we're not 100% sure on. Let's wait for a little more data and then we can expand it south. So I would say I really like what the Weather Service did in this package. Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County of Indiana. You're included in Washington, Scott, and Jefferson County in Indiana. You're also included in Clark County, Indiana. You're included Oldham, Trimble, Carroll County in Kentucky. You're included in Henry and Shelby County of Kentucky. You're included in this in the Indy Metro, and you're included in this on the northern side of the Lexington Metro. Frankfort, you're also included in here, and you can see near the Cincinnati Metro also included. So this starts at 7 p.m. on Thursday. This ends at 10 a.m. on Friday. And this kind of gives you then an idea of when could I see road conditions starting to deteriorate. And I think it's really important to remember Monday, got a half an inch. No big deal, right? Well, it kind of was, as we saw a lot of people having trouble on the roads once that snow started to stick. And that is a big deal. And we know that within our area, you guys know how it works here. You don't need a ton of snow to cause problems. I think we all know that any snow here is going to cause problems. in particular when our pavement temperatures are so cold after this cold spell. And so what the result here is it doesn't take much snow to cause problems. And I think we are going to see issues, especially in our northern counties. I think we're going to see a lot of issues. I think in 71, as we go through Carrollton and some of those hilly areas, we're going to see a lot of issues here. And so I think you need to prepare and anticipate that we are going to see some problems in our area from this snow. Again, you know the timeline here, so you know the hours that the advisory is in effect for our area. So as we stand right now looking around the area, not much. Could a dusting occur tonight? Sure. And I would say that the reason a dusting could occur is you can see some of these snow showers that are northwest of Champaign and south of Chicago. Some of those will get into our area tonight. And again, it comes back to the same thing I just said, and that is that the pavement temperatures are really cold. So with really cold pavement temperatures, even snow showers can cause that to be enough to dust the ground. So that is worth noting, that if you do have any travel plans very late tonight or into tomorrow morning, it's not out of the realm of possibility to get a couple of slick spots. Does this require an advisory? Absolutely not. And the Weather Service is absolutely correct in not issuing that advisory. So here's where we are right now in Louisville. We're looking at 36 degrees. We've got a west-northwest wind at 13, and we've started now a sequence of events. A sequence of events that will culminate in a displacement of the polar vortex. So this is one of the interesting ones. Several years ago, the term started to get used some more. It's not surprising that the term started to catch fire when the internet and social media started to really, really blossom. And people started to realize that they could make money on social media by scaring people. And so these terms, like people started to use bomb cyclone and really, really stamp this, or a massive distortion of the polar vortex, or we've never seen this before, or nothing like this has ever happened before. It became a calling sign, because if you scare people bad enough, they're probably going to share this because they're concerned about their friends or family, and they want to make sure that they know as well. So displacements of the polar vortex, does this happen frequently? Every single year. Every single year, with the exception of none. Some people say incorrectly there's a polar vortex, and to that person I would say there's a polar vortex every single day. The polar vortex always lives there, just like the sun is always in the sky and the moon is always around the earth. These are things that happen every day with no exception. So when you see people starting to scare you with this stuff, understand it's a tactic. It is a tactic. So a displacement of the polar vortex means which way is it going? So if the polar vortex is basically the keeper of the cold air, if it distorts or breaks or moves towards our part of the globe, then it releases the cold towards us. And this is a displacement of the polar vortex later this week, and this is all now a sequence of events that will tumble and create that scenario where we're going to see the displacement. It's obviously not displaced yet, or we would obviously see colder, but I mean, it's still chilly in E-Town. You've got a wind chill of 26 degrees, and let me show you the roads right now in Seymour. No problems, my friend. Your temperature in the Seymour area currently sits at 42 degrees. We've got a dew point of 31 and a south wind coming in at 10 miles an hour. As we look around the area, temperatures right now generally running in the mid-30s. It is cold enough to support some snow showers. The pavement is pretty cold, and our temperatures running mid-30s. But is that a displacement of the polar vortex? Well, let me actually show you. Chicago's pretty cold at 29, but maybe we have a couple people in here from Chicago, and they're like, Mark, buddy, 29 is not that cold for Chicago. In Des Moines, Iowa, I mean, it can get way colder than air temperature 25. And to you, I would say, I agree, my friend. 18 right now in Chicago on the wind chill, 13 in Des Moines. And that is cold for December, but core winter, that's really not that cold. It really isn't that bad. And as we look around the northern hemisphere, let's go beyond just our region. Let's look at North America. Let's go up to Canada, and we can see, there's wind chills here of 30, 40 below zero. Since you ask, yes. Now, if you displace the polar vortex, isn't that coming towards the U.S.? Ding! And that's what makes this interesting. You can see there is some serious serious cold air. I have actually been up to Alaska. I did a Alaska trip several years ago. Fairbanks is one of these notorious areas for people to go to view the northern lights. You've got Denali up in Alaska, which is stunning, and you can see this is a really really cold air mass. And you can see as you kind of look at this map that those purples extend now into northern Canada and are starting to move southward. So look at Baker Lake there. I mean that should be like a one of those. I would be interested in feeling that. Um but I don't know that I would ever want to experience something like that. I'm always curious when it comes to stuff like that. Throw me a thumbs up if you actually think it would be cool to experience a wind chill of 43 below zero. Not necessarily lasting forever. Some people said I'm a little bit quiet here, so let me move the mic up a little bit more. Thumbs up if you guys would enjoy feeling a wind chill coming in at 45 below zero, and an angry face if you think it would be a bad idea. For me, I actually think it would be cool to experience. I've experienced for about 42 below zero. I think it would be kind of interesting to feel like an 80 below zero. Not like I would want to experience it for a long period of time, but there's just a part of me that is kind of curious about this. By the way, since I just moved the mic a little closer, let me know, comment on the screen if you guys think that the audio is a little bit better right now, if that helped out. I moved the mic a little bit closer to my face, so hopefully that will help you out. But you can see when we kind of come back to this displacement of the polar vortex concept, if we displace it, there is some serious, serious cold that's out there. And if that extremely serious cold gets into our area or the northern tier of the U.S., this is definitely a big deal on the cold. So how do you do it? How do you get this job done? Well, you probably have heard at this point that there's an atmospheric river targeting the western part of the U.S., and in that, what you probably know now is that is producing storm after storm after storm. So displacing the polar vortex normally takes significant effort from the atmosphere. And the way that happens is you go storm after storm after storm. And that tugging and tugging and pulling eventually displaces it and pulls it. And so what's happening here is you can see we've got that dip in the jet stream over our area. That's what brought the rain this morning and the sleet showers. And then from there, you can see that we've got another storm in the Pacific Northwest, and then that's the next storm that's going to move across our area. So we do have this then series of storms. Ultimately, that's going to tug the polar vortex southward, and that's what's going to allow that significant cold. So tomorrow is the storm that primes the pump. The Saturday system is the one that floods. That opens the floodgates for the polar vortex and the colder to get towards us. So we've gone through a little bit here in terms of our conceptual idea. So we have storm after storm. We saw a storm in the Pacific Northwest that's going to come across our area tomorrow. We know tomorrow that in our southern counties, there's not a lot of cold air, but what you're going to see as we look at this low is that's not really where the precipitation is located. We note that in Louisville, we do have cold air, but there are some questions in terms of would we transition over to maybe a little bit of mix as that snow is falling. And then lastly, we know that the northern part of our area, there is a little bit more cold, then it's probably going to be more stubborn and you're probably going to stay as all snow. So we now have a conceptual model of what we would expect, and then we'll look at the data here. So as I show you the data, I would always remind you that when you look at the data, remember on the top right part of your screen is the time. So you can see we're looking at Thursday. This is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I know you're thinking, Mark, you just told me that we're supposed to be talking about 7 p.m., right? You got it. So let's look. The data shows that if you're in the core of this drive, and what I mean by that is 5 p.m. is when a lot of people are heading out to go home. For Louisville, I don't think it's a time that you need to be concerned. I really don't. But if you're in the second half of that evening drive tomorrow, let's say it's 6:30, 7, do I think you could see snow? Yes. Now, I know you're looking at this and you're saying, Mark, we put the winter weather advisory out north of Paoli. It goes from Bedford through Salem. It goes to around the Clarksville area, goes through LaGrange, and it goes into Shelbyville. I mean, this is clearly showing something different, isn't it? You got it. And so what the Weather Service did in this particular instance, and I'm going to tell you they did the exact right thing, is they put out the advisory where they felt the most confident. And they obviously are going to reevaluate and decide with the late data. Should I give it a couple more counties? Should I move it a couple of counties to the north? And I think in doing this, they have now got the message out, hey, this is something we need to be aware of. And if you're in Louisville, you're like, I'm on the border of this thing. Maybe I need to heighten my awareness on this. And I think that the Weather Service, credit to them, made a really, really good call here. So at 7 p.m., we can see snow. And I can tell you most of the data shows it's snowing in Paoli and Salem, in Bedford. In Seymour at 7. It's snowing in North Vernon. It's snowing in Madison, Carrollton, LaGrange. It's snowing in Eminence, in Newcastle, in Jericho. It's snowing in Bedford, Kentucky. It's snowing in Frankfort. It's snowing in Taylorsville. And I think at 7 it is snowing in Louisville. I would put your start time in Louisville between 6 and 7. And you can see this is 8. The data shows heavier snow on this band a little farther north of Louisville. But it also clearly shows that it's snowing in Louisville through 10 o'clock. And I think that it's right. And I think that ultimately putting Louisville, would I have included Louisville in the advisory if I was to issue this advisory at this exact moment? No. I think that I want to see the late data. But again, getting this out early is going to give us the jump start. And then we can get that advisory out for Louisville if needed in the overnight. We're not going to wait until tomorrow afternoon. Secondly, if you're in, I'm going to call this out, Hardinsburg, if you're in Elizabethtown, if you're in Hodgenville, if you're in Litchfield, if you're in Munfordville, if you're in Greensburg, if you're in Columbia, if you're in Springfield, Kentucky, if you're in Bardstown, you're probably, and even maybe Shepherdsville or Lebanon Junction, you're probably looking at this and saying, Mark, it doesn't look like it really gets to me. So I don't need to be worried about this, right? Fair. But let's go through the data and then let's talk a little more. So what we see and what's interesting here is we don't have much of a true southerly component of the winds at the surface or aloft because the warm front hasn't gone through. And a lot of this precipitation has advanced ahead of the warm front. So this would allow us to be mainly snow in this type of a scenario. But there could be some mix on the southern edge as that warm front lifts northward. So this storm system goes through, and I'm going to come back to snow accumulation. But I thought since I have you here, and you're probably curious about this, what does this displacement of the polar vortex stuff mean? So I'm just going to tell you something. Computer models yesterday showed no snow really on Saturday night. If you watch me on TV, and I know a lot of you do, you probably heard me say that the data has the snow going through Indianapolis. Now, a lot of times that the computer model data will not truly sample how cold that Arctic air is. And a lot of times that snow will dive south versus what the data said. So what I do, again, in transparency, what I do as a meteorologist is my background in education is in meteorology. I always joke that I got my 4-year degree in 4.5 years because it was hard. I went to University of Oklahoma, and then I went to grad school after that. Did radar research, did microburst downdrafts, studied land breeze sea breeze interactions. This is a weird one, but I worked with a brilliant dynamicist named Alan Shapiro. Did tornado studies with the Doppler on wheels, and so my education is in meteorology. I didn't watch YouTube videos. I didn't pick this up because I think it's cool. I don't do this as a hobby, which is not to say that hobbyists don't love this. But this is what I do for a living and what my education is. So when I look at the data yesterday, I knew that it was erroneous because we know resolution of the mid-range models is not high enough to capture Arctic air. We know that Arctic air is actually very thin because it's so cold and dense. We knew that the data would indicate that snow too far to the north. So with that logic here, and we've applied meteorology to it, let's see what it does with the Arctic front on set. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that's 100 miles further south than what the data showed yesterday. Of course it is. Of course it is. Because the data yesterday was wrong. The Arctic air always surges further south, quicker, and draws the snow south. And what I want you to see as I show you is Saturday is colder than what we're going to see tomorrow night. And so with that being colder, that means it's going to be very fluffy snow. And that means even a little bit of liquid equivalent can actually add up to quite a bit of snow. And I've seen scenarios like this where we can get decent accumulation. It's the reason why my snow probability has always been higher on Saturday night, because I think this is a pretty good chance. And then you can see here, by Sunday morning, The whiter the air temperatures and the blues are the wind chills. This is the European computer model. This is a good computer model. In this scenario, it's not going to have the boundary layer, lowest layer meteorology to handle how cold the air is going to be. Now, how do you get the coldest in the Ohio Valley? Cincy, Indy, Louisville, Lexington. How do we get the coldest? We get the coldest when we have Arctic air move across our area with a fresh snowpack. And the reason this works the best is fresh, fluffy snow radiates the heat out to space exceptionally easy. The temperatures on Sunday morning, if you don't get snow, are going to be cold. They're going to be very cold. If there's a snowpack, they're going to be even worse. And on Monday, they're going to be even worse as we have clear skies, which allows full radiational cooling, meaning the heat from the ground here escapes out to space, and it's a maxi cooling scenario. But Sunday morning, you can see the Euro shows an air temperature 2 below zero in Seymour with a wind chill of 17 below. Let me say that one more time. The European shows an air temperature in Seymour of 2 below zero with a wind chill of 17 below zero. Gets your attention, doesn't it? Air temperature of 3 in Louisville on Sunday morning with a wind chill of 11 below zero. Data shows 8 in E-Town with a wind chill of 7 below zero and 10 in Campbellsville with a wind chill of 3 below zero. Why is it so much colder to the north? Guesses? I'm going to look to the side because I want to see somebody answer this. I know somebody's going to get it. Comment down below. Why do you think it's so much colder in Seymour than it is in Campbellsville? Do you think it's so much colder because the Arctic air mass is more significant? Why the difference of 12 degrees from north to south? And I'm looking over at the comments here so I can see the first person that gets it. Connor Revel went ahead and nailed it. Connor said because of the snowpack. Connor, you're right. The snowpack is more significant to the north, radiates the heat out better to space. Ultimately, you get colder than the southern part of our area where the snowpack may be minor. In fact, it may not even be there in some locations in the southern part of our area. So this gradient of snow from north to south is really what makes the difference here. So what I promised you in this video is not just to show you, I wanted to speak snow quantity. We've now identified the window of snow to fall from approximately 6 to 7 p.m. tomorrow, lasting through maybe around midnight to 3 a.m. You're like, well, if it lasts from midnight to 3 a.m., why the advisory through 10 a.m.? Maybe they've been a little bit generous on the time, but I think they're very deliberately wanting to include the morning commute on Friday because there are going to be significant impacts. You guys know how it works with snow here. So how much? I know that's always the question when we talk about snow, so let's do it, my friend. We're going to look here in these videos. I love the videos because the videos allow me to, in a contained way, share with you some of the weather data that you probably see on the internet just making the rounds. I don't post this stuff. I refuse to, because I know it's going to get shared like wildfire. And you're like, well, Mark, then you're going to get more followers on your page. Isn't that what you're trying to do? No. I want as many followers as I can get, but I want them because you trust me. I want them because you believe in me, because you think I'm the best, and you think you're going to get somebody that's going to give you something reliable and trustworthy. I don't want you here because I post the most sensational graphics and scare you to death so that you're going to share it with your friends and family because you are so worried about them. I want you to know that if I need you to be worried, I'm going to tell you. If I don't think it's a scenario where I need you to be worried, I'm not going to. So I hope that you're here, you know that that's why I do things the way I do. So the European computer model, and this one should really jump out at you. This one should jump out at you because it's further south. It shows that 2-inch snow in Paoli, in Louisville, in Frankfort, in Madison. Now you do see some darker blues, which is in the 4 neighborhood. So you can see it shows a swath from around Paoli through Louisville of this 1 to 3, and then it shows more of a 2 to 4, 3 to 5 in areas like Seymour, Madison through Frankfort. The Euro is a really good computer model. But what I'm going to show you here is why the Weather Service did what they did. If they base their forecast solely on this, you're included in Louisville. You're in this advisory 100%. You cannot be out of it. But let's look. Is this model on an island or is it living with the rest of the models? This is the NAM computer model. Well, it's a little different. It still shows Louisville in the snow, but let's actually go back one more time. What you see here is, and I really want you to notice areas like Hardinsburg, E-Town, Munfordville, Campbellsville. The Euro is showing the snow going to around E-Town. When we look at the NAM computer model, it's further north, and the result is it shows zilch in Hardinsburg, E-Town, and Campbellsville. It shows 0, it shows zilch, it shows nothing. But you'll also notice that, like the Euro, it's got snow in areas like Bedford, Indiana, in North Vernon, in Seymour, in Madison, in Carrollton, in Clarksville. We jump the river to Carrollton. We see it in Bedford, Kentucky. We see this in LaGrange, and we see it in Frankfort and Shelbyville. But what we see here is a little bit less in Louisville. I think that we all believe that Louisville is probably going to get close to advisory level snow. But I'm going to show you as we go through the data the reason that there's some uncertainty. But the NAM is obviously shifted about 50 miles further to the north. Well, let's take a look at our in-house computer model. Advanced Track is our in-house computer model. What does it look like? It kind of looks like the Euro, except it shows that stripe of that 3 to 5 as a little bit wider, right? And it shows Louisville in the steadiest snow as well, showing 2.6 inches. It's got 3 inches of snow in Paoli. It's got 3.2 in Seymour. It's got 2.6 in Madison and 2.9 in Frankfort. But this is where it gets complicated. You know, if you're talking Campbellsville and E-Town, some of the models show zilch. Some show nothing. Advanced Track and the Euro are showing about an inch of snow. And this is what really gives us probably arguably the most caution here. The HRRR computer model, HRR, this is a rapid refresh model. The HRRR is an exceptionally good model in the short term. Unlike the Euro, which goes out 384 hours, all the HRRR does is run every single hour and look between 18 hours and 48 hours into the future, depending on the run. The HRRR's only job is short term. And so since we run this model over a shorter period of time, again, let me just give you a little bit of background. When I was an undergraduate in meteorology, I won the Mark J. Schrader Scholarship from the American Meteorological Society. Fast forward, I go into grad school and I win a Raytheon Scholarship from fellowship from the American Meteorological Society that allowed me then to go out to NCEP and see where they house the supercomputers and run the models out there. And it was awesome. It was really, really cool. But back to this. So I do have a great deal of expertise in understanding and working in numerical models. So I just mentioned this. The HRRR is very, very high resolution. And so the HRRR means high resolution rapid refresh. So versus, let's say, the Euro, the European is not as high resolution, but it goes way, way, way out into the future. And since we only have so much space on these supercomputers, we have to decide how we're going to utilize the time, the space, all of the above. The HRRR, we run this one only out to 48 because if, let's say, we ran it out to 7 days, it would hog so much time on the supercomputers that we would have to divvy things differently. So we use the HRRR in a shorter period, and it makes sense because that's what it does best. So this is the one that draws caution. It really does, because the HRRR, every computer model shows Bedford, Indiana, Seymour, North Vernon, Madison, Carrollton getting advisory level snow. Not every computer model shows that in Louisville, Paoli, Hardinsburg, Kentucky, E-Town, and Campbellsville. And so when I then go and put my forecast together here, obviously I need to take these things into account. And in full transparency, this is based on the data that I was able to utilize this afternoon. When this video ends, I'm going to go back into my weather office and I'm going to spend a lot of time analyzing data. And I can assure you right now that I will be able to pin more what's going to happen in the transition zones. And so fully, again, in transparency, the way I forecast, because I know snow lovers will get really mad. I do not want to overpromise and underdeliver. Use as an example. Let's say I put you in the 2 to 4 inch snow range. You're thinking, okay, my 4-year-old who's been wanting to play in that snow is going to get to go out in the snow tomorrow morning. We're going to make some plans. We're going to go out there together. We're going to have such a great time. We're going to enjoy ourselves. She's going to be so excited. I can't wait to do this with her tomorrow. It's going to be incredible. And then you get, let's say, 4/10 of an inch. And you're like, Mark, I got my daughter excited. I told her we were going to do this, and now it's not going to happen. I mean, that's not right. That's not right to tell her that and then to pull that rug out from under her. Exactly. And this is why the way I forecast, I don't want to throw a dart and I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And I'm recognizing that from Paoli to Louisville to Hardinsburg and E-Town, there is more uncertainty in the data that I viewed that came in around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock this afternoon. And so what I have here is that transition zone into the higher range just north of Louisville. Will Louisville need to be in that? The late data is going to allow me to throw that dart. So for now, I've got up to an inch in Paoli, in Louisville, in Hardinsburg, in E-Town, in Bardstown, through around London, Kentucky. I've got Lexington, Frankfort. I've got Madison. I've got Seymour. I've got basically on the edge of Bedford in the 1 to 3. And I've got you in North Vernon in the 1 to 3 as well. Carrollton, you're in the 1 to 3. And then you're going to notice I've got the 3 to 6. And you're like, well, 6 is a lot. Don't think of it that way. It's a range. I'm not telling you you're going to see 6. I'm telling you your snow amount's going to be somewhere between 3 and 6 inches. So always look at those ranges and understand what they are. It'll give you realistic expectations. From here, I want to explain a couple things. Is it possible that I would need to move that 3 to 6 in our northwest counties? Our northeast counties, our northern counties? The answer is yes. Is it possible I have to move the 1 to 3 into Louisville? The answer is that is possible. Is it possible that I need to move the 1 up to 1 inches a little further south? It's possible. Is it possible that I need to edge this that you see right here a little bit further to the north? I think that this is probably a conservative map right now. I think that there's room for some change here, but I wanted to place myself in a scenario where you understand the ranges. You understand that somebody may be able to get winter storm warning level snow out of this. You understand that our northern and northeastern counties are going to get the most snow. And you understand that Louisville and the metro is very close to that transitional where we could see a little bit more. And so again, as I noted, my concept here is let's get you on the idea and let me hone in. I'm going to throw a dart tonight. Jude Redfield's in early tomorrow. He's going to throw even a tighter dart. And then Bryce Jones doing the midday tomorrow is going to throw even a closer dart. And then I'm on TV tomorrow at 4, and we're going to be really, really, really firing those darts out. And hopefully this then gives you an idea and a concept in terms of how much snow you could see and the areas where we expect the most to occur. So from here, as always, I like to give you guys an opportunity here to ask some questions. Before we do that, there's still 1,200 people in here. Do you enjoy my Facebook Lives? If you do, throw a thumbs up. We do these from Studio C. Studio C is our studio that we have built as our streaming studio. I'm very fortunate to work for a television station that believes in what we do, and they have invested in a control board and an audio board and this big studio that we have here that we do all of our streaming work on. And then that allows us to bring you television quality into the internet space. So if you appreciate it, some thumbs up across the screen. And if you guys can, remember the video is going to be here for anybody that comes in afterwards. So sharing even right now means that if you have friends or family that might be interested, when you share it, they may come in later and watch the video because it's containing information that they might want. So from here, we're going to open it up to questions and let me do the best to answer them. We'll spend probably about 10 minutes or so on the Q&A portion. And then afterwards, I'm going to go in there and take a look at some of that late data. So let's start the Q&A portion. What about Saturday? So that coming in from Brittany Helm. Brittany, Saturday, it's not wise to put snow totals out. If you're asking me, is there going to be snow accumulation? My answer is yes. I do think that there is potential here for a 1 to 3 on Saturday. Maybe a couple locations could get a little bit more. I would say that there is going to be accumulating snow on Saturday, though. So I really think that's going to be likely. So somebody asked about alert days. Why do some stations do alert days and some don't? It's the same reason why some of us do a 7-day forecast and some do a 10. So I have obviously a lot of creative freedom at WDRB as the chief meteorologist. I will not do alert days for me. Again, I'm not telling anybody else what to do, but if you're asking me, why do we not do alert days? We don't do alert days because we think that they turn into scare tactics. We think that it's kind of gotten to this thing where if it rains, alert day, alert day, alert day, alert day, alert day. And then it becomes also somewhat biased, and what you may think is alert day may be different than what I think is an alert day, but that may be different than what my dad thinks is an alert day or your son thinks is an alert day. So we don't play the game. It's not really what we do. Would it change ever? If I have the creative control of the weather department, for me, it's not something that I think is a good idea. But again, everything is different, and we all have to do what we think is best. So it's a fair question. Chelsea Mix is asking, is this two different storm systems? Yes. So the storm system tomorrow is completely separated from the Saturday storm. A good question, though. Let's see. Somebody is asking, is it a good idea to travel from Bedford to Louisville, or let's see, Bedford to Bedford from Louisville on Friday and returning on Sunday? I can't tell you if it's a good idea or a bad idea. You have to make the decision. If you're asking me, is there going to be snow falling on Friday evening, my answer is no. If you're asking me, is there snow going to be falling on Sunday, my answer is no. If you're asking me, is there going to be snow on the ground that can cause an impact, my answer is yes. So hopefully that at least helps a little bit there. I tried to not tell people what to do only because your skill level in driving on snow may be different than mine or somebody else. I've lived in snowy climates for many years in my life, so I learned quickly how to drive on snow. So for me, I just tend to kind of keep things a little bit slower. Patty Randolph says, love what you do. Stay warm, grab some hot chocolate, enjoy the rest of the night, enjoy the snow as it rolls in. And that's from YouTube, so I appreciate that. And she's saying appreciate the energy. Let's see here. Anita is saying Saturday around noon, my daughter is having engagement pictures. This is the last opportunity. We appreciate some knowledge. So Anita, Saturday, my opinion is I would aim for around midday. It's going to be a cold day, but normally overcast skies make for some of the best pictures. If you wait too long later on in the day, you're going to run into some issues. Now, beyond that, it's going to be cold. It's really going to be cold. It's not going to be fun at all. I mean, at all. So just understand these things. Somebody asking about total snow below the parkways. So I've got near the parkways of up to an inch. I've got south of the parkways, and I'll show you again here real quickly. I've got south of the parkways. If you're in Bardstown or Springfield, you're south of the parkways technically, but I have you in the up to an inch for tomorrow night. And I've been very transparent on this one that there's still some room to flex here. There's still some room to move this a little further south or north as the data indicates. Let's see. Matthew is saying my weather app says more of a chance of snow on Friday. So I will tell you, we have a weather app. I'm going to give you some hacks on the weather app. In your weather app, up top, if it's ours, put in Louisville. You're going to get my forecast. If you put outside of Louisville, let's just say you put Columbia, understand that you're going to get numerical models, which, as I noted, are wrong. They're wrong all the time. Why is it not our forecast? Because we can't put every single town in. It's become a task that was unfortunately impossible. But the hack to the system is to get our forecast. If you click the hourglass and type in Louisville, you'll be getting our forecast specifically. So that's kind of a help there for you. But if you're asking when, Thursday night is the time of interest. Let's see here. This one's coming in from YouTube. Ohio Valley Storms. Mark, my son would like to come and visit your team. He's 12, plans to go to University of Oklahoma. Send me an email. It's a tough time between now and the end of the year, but into next year, we'll probably have a little bit more time. So, and by the way, tell him I said, hey. Let's see here. It doesn't seem like Louisville's going to get that much from Josh. Josh, I want to be clear on that one, and it's a fair question. Half an inch of snow in Louisville causes significant problems. We had that Monday morning. Some of the data is still showing a 1 to 3 in Louisville. Some of the data shows a little bit less. The prudent thing to do right now was to not throw the farm. Let's keep it under control, and at 10 o'clock tonight after I view this late data, I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm telling you it's possible I keep Louisville in the up to 1. I'm telling you it's possible that I move Louisville into the 1 to 3. I need to see that late data to give me a better sense on where we stand here, and that late data will become absolutely critical in determining that. Maria is asking, is there any sign of ice on this one? No, there's not a sign of ice on this one. Tammy is asking, is this snowman snow Thursday? Yes. Saturday night, absolutely not. Saturday night will be the fluffy stuff. Let's see. Any other questions? Angie's saying, thank you for the lives. I appreciate you guys in here. The lives are something that, we've been doing for a long time. We kind of were on the forefront of doing lives. We've been able to divvy up time and become a little bit more active in this space here. Again, Studio C that we built at WDRB, we kind of upped the ante with that and produced a higher quality of what we do in here. So, yeah, I mean, the lives are great. I get a chance to answer your questions. Obviously, some people like the short form, and we do that every night on TV. I'll be spending about 4 minutes and 30 seconds tonight talking about the snow and the how much and the Saturday and all that stuff. And if you want those pinpoint details and only that, the TV is definitely the place to go. And if you want the most updated, at 10 o'clock, I'll have that. But this is an area for a longer form where we can go into more detail and I can accommodate the weather nerds, which that's me. When will this start off as rain? No, this will not start off as rain in Louisville. Somebody's asking what the snow to liquid ratio, that one's from Mitchell, what the snow to liquid ratio looks like tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's going to probably be in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 to 1. Saturday night could be substantially higher. You may be able to exceed 20 to 1 Saturday night. So they're very, very different. It's a great question, by the way. Let's see. Alyssa saying my 8-year-old son says, I like your weather videos, Mark. Tell your 8-year-old son that I appreciate him and tell him if he likes meteorology and the science, study his math, study his sciences, and maybe this seat. Maybe he could be sitting in the seat one day with me. So it seems funny when I say that, right? But Bryce Jones, I became first aware of Bryce from his parents. It was probably like around 2012, 13, and then his parents would communicate with me through that. Bryce came in and shadowed, and then Bryce, when he was trying to decide what schools, I kind of helped give them some information. He visited some of the schools. And Bryce Jones then graduated with a degree in meteorology. Bryce Jones is now part of my team. So when I say that to kids out there that are 8 years old, that chair that I just joked about, it is truly possible that your child could be sitting in that chair next to me someday as a meteorologist. It's always funny because Bryce and I joke about it a lot, but it's true. And it was Bryce's dream to kind of work with us, and the stars aligned, and we were very lucky. All the people on my team are exceptional. Rick DeLuca is brilliant. Jude Redfield is an exceptional meteorologist and one of the most creative human beings with the largest heart I've ever met. Bryce Jones is a fantastic meteorologist on the morning. He's such a workhorse. He's a great guy. He gets along so well. There's nothing you could ask him that he wouldn't do. That's the work ethic. And Matthew's just a workhorse. You'll never say something to Matthew and he say no. These are people that I get the luxury to work with that make my life better when I work with them and make this team as a group just exceptionally skilled. And I love that I get to work with the group of guys that I do. So, but as I stated, one of you out there may be one day doing this next to me. Kathy is saying, do you see any hope that we'll get any warmer between now and Christmas? Kathy, I'm going to give you the gold star of the night, because it's a really, really, really good one. I'm going to go ahead and, again, the beauty of what I do here in these videos is I have access to the full weather systems, obviously, that we use on TV. And so I'm going to show you something here that I showed on TV, or I didn't get to show on TV a little bit earlier, but I'm doing a video about later. And what I'm going to show you here, and let me go back over to my weather system. I'm going to show you the 8 to 14 day outlook. 8 to 14. Okay, what date is it today? Today's the 10th. The 8 to 14 day outlook takes us into Christmas Eve. Wait a minute. That's showing significant probabilities of warmer than normal. As we go into the 8 to 14, which starts next Thursday. I mean, that's not right. Actually, that is right. And I'm kind of shocked it took CBC as long as it did to put that in there. This has been showing up in the ensembles for days. I even mentioned it on TV that there was a massive signal showing warmer. So is the snow going to stay on the ground through Christmas? Is it going to get warmer? Is it going to be warmer than normal Christmas week? You wanted a white Christmas. 5 to 10%. 5 to 10 years out of a century produce a white Christmas in Louisville, Kentucky. Super rare. But if you want the snow, I'm going to tell you how you can have it. You can go out tomorrow if you get some tomorrow night. If not, wait till Saturday. And you can put it in a Ziploc bag and then put it in the freezer. That way you can have it bottled up. And then when we get towards Christmas, you can dump it all over your hair and everybody around you. And that's how you're going to get a white Christmas if you want it this year. I don't think that right now there's any way that happens. So it's a cool question though, but I love that. I love that question. All right, it's 9:03. I need to spend some time looking at the data. Let me give you guys 3 more questions before I return this back to whatever you guys want to see later, and then I'm going to spend some time looking at the late data. So 3 more questions. Courtney is saying, so would Eastwood Simpsonville area be higher or less than an inch? So in the Simpsonville area, I've got up to 1 right now. Do I think that you could end up in the 1 to 3? 100%. In fact, I would put the eastern part of Shelby County in my 1 to 3. I want to look at the late data and I'll make a tweak there, but you're right on the edge of the up to 1 and 1 to 3. It is very possible if the later data just comes in a pinch further south that you will need to be moved into that 1 to 3. Question number 2 here. Let's see here. Move back over. Deborah Year is saying, over the past year, I've watched you more and more during severe weather, and I appreciate how you don't overhype the forecast in order to scare us into watching. So, Deborah, I appreciate that. I'll tell you a story here. My brother lives in Oklahoma. My brother and his wife and my 2 nieces and nephews. And it was several years ago, somebody said that tomorrow represents and looks like they referenced a day that lives in infamy out there because it produced an EF5 tornado and obliterated the area. My brother's home in 2013 was leveled by an EF5 tornado. And, those scars live, they're real. I know how they feel about that. I can't do that. I can't do that to another person. Let's just say more people watch and I can make more money off of it. I can't go to sleep at night with that. I just can't. I can't. I know how it feels, and I just think it's dirty. So that's just not who I am. It's not in my DNA, and it never will be how I function. So I think if you guys watch me, I hope you watch me because I love what I do. I hope you watch me because I'm enthusiastic about what I do. I hope you watch me because I care about you. I care about you. I want you to trust me. I kind of view this as a handshake, that you're going to come to me and in turn, I'm going to give you accurate information. Look, I'm a human being. Can I get every single storm system 100% right? I can't. I do think that my accuracy exceeds anybody in this area. But, am I perfect? I can't be. But what I can assure you of is effort and skills. And I'm going to use those to get you the most accurate forecast every single time. And if I tell you it's something to worry about, I remember using it this year. I remember when Somerset and London were hit. I remember saying on TV the night before, I said that the spatial parameters where the wind energy is in the fuel scares me. And I remember saying that those spatial parameters are as violent as we've seen since in our area, since what we saw on March 2nd of 2012 when Pekin and Borden and Henryville and Chelsea were hit. And unfortunately, look, I don't say this to validate anything I do because, Somerset and London were hit by an EF4. I just tell you it because I don't like to say those words. I don't want to use that. But I hope that when I do use it, it is a day where you need to feel a little bit more uncomfortable. 2 more questions here. What do I think for Bloomington, Indiana? Andrew, thank you for joining in from Bloomington. I have Bloomington right on the 1 to 3 right now, but I'm going to tell you something here. It is very possible that I may need to move that number up just a little bit. Let me take you back over to my map here really quickly. And by the way, we're going to count that as question number 2 here. So I'm going to load up the snow map here so you can see. I've got Bloomington on the 1 to 3. That 3 to 6 looms right now from around Maysville, Kentucky through just north of Carrollton near Vevey into the Indy area. It is not impossible that may need to come a little bit further south. And so Bloomington, you are one of those areas that we will watch for that. Last question here. So who wants to be the last question of the night? Let's see. Lisa, and I'm not gonna count this as a question, but Lisa said, "Does repeating the comment make it more likely to get noticed?" Yes. So on my interface on the left here, you probably see me looking off to the side. I get about 6 questions. So let's say I'm in the process of answering your question. I've got my eyes locked on you. I don't see some of the other questions coming in, and sometimes it just fires away, so I can't see it. So never feel bad about asking multiple times. You're not being rude. Last question of the night here is going to be totals for Eminence. Eminence, Kentucky right now. I've got you in the 1 to 3, but close to that higher total. What I'm going to be looking at in the next hour is the late data. That late data is going to be really critical in me determining, do I need to move that 3 to 6 a little further south? And I think that's really where my message ends tonight, is that the late data is going to help me to fine tune. I have been transparent that at this point I wanted to be a little more conservative because I showed you there's still a little uncertainty in where exactly that gradient of lower to higher is. I think the late data is going to help me to put a little bit more of a mark on that. And so what I'm going to do here over the next hour is look at that data and make the adjustment. So for those of you that are in here enjoying the Facebook Lives, thank you. For those that want to watch me on TV, I appreciate you guys. I used to say to you, I do Facebook Lives to help you guys and have fun, but I do TV to make a living. But the world has changed now, and I make a living on both. So I appreciate you guys in both places. I'm going to be on a 10, 10:22, and 10:37. Rick DeLuca will be on at 11 and about 11:17. 10 o'clock, I'm going to be discussing flurries and a dusting chance tonight because I think it's possible. 10:22, I'm going to go through the timeline, updated timeline, who sees the heaviest snow tomorrow. Start to introduce the updated look at Saturday. And 10:37, I'll be spending most of my time on snow totals, and I think that's what everybody wants to see. So hopefully, I know you have a busy life, but put in your phone a little bit of a reminder at 10, 10:22, 10:37. That way you'll know when to tune in. Lastly, do you guys appreciate the Facebook Lives? I'm going to open my phone right now, and I'm going to look because I want to see if you guys love the Facebook Lives, and I'm going to be looking for your thumbs up and your hearts to be flying across the screen if you guys appreciate these lives, if you enjoy them, if you enjoy our Studio C, our ability to do things in a full-on studio and not in my parents' basement, but do things in a professional format. Throw the thumbs up and hearts across the screen and share the video with friends, family. Let them know that all the information is in here if they choose to watch after the fact. So I'm going to rest my voice for a little while, have a sip of water, and spend some time looking at the late data. And I appreciate if you guys join me on WDRB News at 10, 10:22, and 10:37. So for everybody jumping in here, thank you. Just so you know, the likelihood of a video tomorrow is very high. We may do one in the morning. We may do one in the afternoon. A likelihood of a video on Friday discussing Saturday night snow and cold on Sunday is incredibly likely. Saturday, very likely, and Sunday. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, it's Mark Weinberg. Remember, it's Mark with a C. You're obviously on my page right now. Click like. That way you'll get alerted when I go live. And if I'm not here, Rick DeLuca, make sure you follow his page. He'll be going live. Matthew Wine, Jude Redfield, all of those. Make sure you follow. That way you know when we go live. So it's time for me to go look at some weather data, and I'll see you guys on WDRB News.